friends, welcome back to my kitchen today. In this video I have 4 different healthy dessert recipes to show you. And so healthy for me means cutting down on processed sugar, and so all of these recipes either use maple syrup or honey or fruit to sweeten them. Also to cut out processed oils, vegetable oils that are highly processed, I just like to use butter or cold pressed coconut oil in my baking, or olive oil as well if it's cold pressed. And so we don't follow any dietary restrictions here, but I do think that overall it's good to have a balanced diet and to have some treats once in a while that are made with good wholesome ingredients. And so if you want to skip ahead to any, I've put the timestamps down below. First up is chocolate zucchini loaf, then it's banana cake. Following that is Pina Colada Chia pudding, and finally, don't miss this one, dark chocolate walnut date bars. They're delicious. Okay, so the first healthy dessert that we're going to make is a chocolate zucchini bread, and it's really delicious. Don't worry, your kids aren't going to taste the zucchini. It's really chocolatey. I'm going to put some chocolate chips as well, and it's just delicious. So first, I'm just going to mix the dry ingredients up. And so we will need 1 1/4 cups of whole wheat flour. And then 1 whole cup of just all-purpose white flour. So that's 1. And then for our cocoa, 1/3 cup plus a 1/4 cup. So here's my 1/3. And this is actually a dark cocoa, so it's really dark in color. So 1/3 and then 1/4. Then we're going to need 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and also a teaspoon of cinnamon. You could leave the cinnamon out if you don't want the cinnamon flavor. Always good to get a bit of cinnamon in your diet. Helps to regulate your blood sugar. And so we'll just give this a whisk. And we'll set it aside and get our wet ingredients ready. So we're going to need 3 eggs. 1 1/4 cups of milk. For the sweetener, I like to use maple syrup and honey. You could use just maple syrup or just honey. If you wanted, you could put brown sugar, but we're keeping this free of refined sugar. And so the amount that you'll need is 2/3 of a cup. So I do have a little bit of honey. It had just solidified, so I'm just melting it a bit. So we'll put a bit of maple syrup, and I'll see how much honey I have. Here's my honey. Oh, came just perfect. So 2/3 of a cup. Then I have a 1/4 cup of melted coconut oil. You could also use melted butter. And now for the zucchini. You want to shred your zucchini. You need 2 cups of shredded zucchini, but the important thing is to just squeeze it out all of the extra moisture, the extra liquid with a paper towel, so it's not super wet. Otherwise your loaf will be too soggy. So I'm going to add my zucchini in. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And then we'll combine the dry ingredients with the wet ingredients. And the important thing is you don't want to mix it too much so that it becomes tough. Just mix it until it's just combined. And then, of course, chocolate chips. And so I have some 70% dark chocolate chips here. I'm going to put about 3/4 of a cup, and then we'll sprinkle some on the top as well. So I have greased my loaf pans. Also preheat your oven at 350 degrees. And now we'll try to separate this evenly between the two. And we'll sprinkle on a few more chocolate chips. And put it in the oven for 45 to 50 minutes at 350 degrees. And here's the zucchini bread, all done. Smells delicious. It really came out pretty dark because I used the dark cocoa, but as you can see, looks very tasty. So I'll just let it cool a few more minutes and then just put it onto a cooling rack, pop it out, and yeah, then we'll slice her up. So this is a great recipe. It makes 2 loaves, so you can eat one the day you make it and freeze the second loaf for a later date. So our next healthy dessert that I'll be making is a banana cake. You could also make muffins, but I just like to put it in a pan. It's easier, and then just cut out squares, have them wrapped to put in the boys' lunches. So I have 3 ripe bananas here. The recipe says 3 large bananas. So I don't know, to me these look more small to medium, so I am going to add a 4th one. But if your bananas are really large, it's supposed to take 3 bananas. Now to mash mine up, I'm just gonna put it on my KitchenAid. So I'll go and do that and come back. So I'll just set this aside for a second. We'll get our dry ingredients. I'm just using the same bowl I did the dry ingredients for the zucchini bread. Like, no need to wash. It's pretty much the same stuff going in there. So I'm going to put 1 cup of whole wheat flour and half a cup of all-purpose. You could do all white flour if you wanted to, but personally I don't really mind the whole wheat flour in my baking. I always mix a little bit of white flour because they do say if you use completely whole wheat flour, it'll be like a little bit more dense. But okay, so to this, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Half a teaspoon of salt. And that's our dry ingredients. Now, if you like, you can add in chopped walnuts or another type of chopped nuts, or you can put chocolate chips. So I still have these 70% dark chocolate chips. So I'll just put those in. All right, now back to the bananas. I'm going to crack in 1 egg. And then we need 1/3 of a cup of melted butter, or you can use coconut oil again. So here's my 1/3 of a cup of butter. Going to mix that in. And then half a cup of sweetener. So you can use a combination of honey and maple syrup, or just honey or just maple syrup. So again, I still have a little bit of the honey. I'm going to do a little combination of the honey and maple syrup again. Mix this. And then again, I'll add my dry ingredients and just mix until it's combined. Now I have a 9x13 pan here already greased. My oven is at 350. And like I said, you can put these in muffin cups if you like. We'll check it after 20 minutes to see if it's done. Here is the banana cake, all done, nicely browned. It took about 20 to 25 minutes. This makes a great little snack cake. If you'd like to make it thicker, you can double the recipe and you'll have a thicker cake. Just leave it in the oven a little bit longer. And the third healthy dessert that I have for you is what I like to call Pina Colada Chia pudding. And so I need 2 cans of coconut milk. I use the full fat coconut milk. And as you can see, it's like 99.9% coconut milk. We need chia seeds, bit of vanilla, and maple syrup to sweeten it. And once the pudding is set, then I like to cube up some pineapple and put on the top. So to get started, I'll open up the cans of coconut milk and put them in my bowl here. Now, if it was at a colder temperature, you might see that it's solidified on the top. That's okay, it's normal. You're just going to whisk it all together. To this, I'm going to add about half a cup of maple syrup. You could also use honey if you prefer, or if you're making this keto, use a sweetener that you like to use, a liquid sweetener. I like to put a teaspoon or 2 of vanilla, as much vanilla as you like. And now we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of chia seeds. So you don't want them to clump together, so just make sure you're whisking while you put them in. And then the best thing to do is not to put in the fridge right away, but just let it sit on the counter for about 10 minutes or so, and then give it another good whisk before putting it in the fridge to thicken even more. All right, so it has been 10 to 15 minutes. I am giving it another good whisk. And then I will put it in the fridge for at least an hour until it thickens. And then we can try it out. If you like, you can also put it into little bowls for individual servings or right into the containers that you'll be using in your lunch boxes. And that makes it easier too, if you like. I'm just going to do mine like this for now because I think we'll have some after supper. So I'm cutting up my pineapple into little chunks to serve with the chia pudding on the top. I find if you put it in beforehand, the chia pudding doesn't set as well, so that's why I put it on at the end. And I also want to mention that chia seeds have a lot of fiber, so if you're not used to eating a lot of fiber, just have a little bit of pudding at a time.
Doesn't that just look so delicious?
All right, so the final healthy dessert that I have, they're called dark chocolate walnut date bars. They're super delicious, and I find that they even taste like a homemade O. Henry bar almost, because it has like the caramelly from the dates, and then we're gonna put some peanut butter in it as well. So you just need a few ingredients: 1 3/4 cups of walnuts. I already have it in my food processor. You need 2 cups of chopped dates. Make sure the pits are out because you don't want the pits to go in your food processor and damage the blade. Then you need 1/4 cup of all natural nut butter. And so I'm using peanut butter, which is the just peanuts kind. And then you'll need a teaspoon or two of vanilla, some sea salt, a little bit of coconut oil to melt with the dark chocolate. So first we're going to do the filling, the date walnut filling, to chill in the fridge. So I'm going to add my dates in here. 2 cups. 1/4 cup of a nut butter. And so when I use the peanut butter, I really find it has like that O. Henry-ish taste. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Couple teaspoons vanilla. And now it's time to pulse it in the food processor until it's all combined and it's a mixture that you can press together easily. Okay, so sad news, my food processor stopped working, which I figured it was going to be soon. It was making so much noise. I ended up chopping it by hand as finely as I could and then mixed it in my KitchenAid to try and get it to stick. It seems like it's going to hold together, it's going to stick. So I have a pan prepared here just with some wax paper. And so we want this in an 8 by 8 square. Now I have my square 8 by 8 inches or 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. So I'm gonna put it in the fridge to chill just for half an hour or so. And at the end of the chilling time, we'll melt the dark chocolate. So we need to get 4 ounces of chocolate. I might do a little bit more. So I just zeroed my scale, and you can use whatever dark chocolate you like. I like to always make sure that it says 70% dark. Then you know that there's less sugar in it. Okay, so I'm about at 4 ounces there. Let's just put an extra square. And into that, we need a tablespoon of coconut oil. So that's about a tablespoon. So I'll put this on the stove to melt, and I'll get the pan ready for our bars. So just line your loaf pan with either wax paper or parchment paper. I just put a little bit of coconut oil so it would stick. There. Okay, so my walnut date mixture has chilled. I have melted my chocolate. So we're going to cut it directly in half. I'm just gonna eyeball it and cut. And put it in the pan. We're going to take about half of the chocolate mixture, going to eyeball that too, and drizzle it on. And then I'm just gonna pop it in the fridge for a minute or so. Not so it hardens completely, but just that it starts to, and then we'll put the next layer on. All right, so it started to chill a little bit. Now we'll get our top layer. And then we'll let it chill for about an hour, and I'll slice them up. Forgot to put the peanuts on the top. You could also do walnuts on the top if you like. My kids like peanuts on it. Okay, so I took it out of the fridge and I was able to slice it up. And look at that, beautiful. It held together, thankfully. And so that's the perfect little treat for after lunch. A little bit of dark chocolate, the sweetness from the dates, so no refined sugars, and just delicious. Thank you for sticking around until the end. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoy kitchen videos, please subscribe so you don't miss what's happening in my kitchen. Until then, may God bless you with his love, joy, peace, and good health. Bye.